Hey YouTube, I'm going to shoot another YouTube video, another Isuzu video. This is a 97 Isuzu Rodeo. And we're going to put some manual locking hubs on it, some super winch. So we're just going to go over it with you. It's pretty simple, so maybe it'll help. Alright. First we got to take the bolts out of the end of the hub. And they send you new bolts with it. They're about the same length, but they're threaded and all the way down, doesn't have any shoulder on it. And this is the hub, super winch hub. They're about $140, I guess, after shipping. Probably not the best you can get. I guess the Warren might be probably a little better, but these were quite a bit cheaper, maybe half as much. So we thought we'd try them. This is our first time of doing that. And the way you do it, you take it apart. It comes with a couple screws in it holding it together, and then you'll pull it apart, and you want it in 4x2 mode when you pull it apart from the inner part. And once you take it out, you're just going to replace the factory one with this part right here, and it just slides inside the splines of the axle, and you've got a snap ring that'll go on there. You'll take that snap ring off once we get the cover off. That's the factory cover there. And what we got, the reason that brought this about, were the CV axles, or the axles for the four-wheel drive, where the boots were torn and busted, and they'd been that way for a while, and finally came apart, and the bearings came out of them, and so we replaced it with another set of CV axles. And this particular rodeo's got about 3 inches worth of lift on the front, and it was done with the torsion bars, so it puts an extreme amount of angle on the axles, on the inner and outer. And when we installed the new ones, with this much lift on it, it was binding up. So with the suspension fully when the suspension with all the weight of the vehicle off, it was extended all the way down, the axles would bind up, and when you're going down the road, it would ride fine until you hit a bump, and then the axles would extend all the way out after you went through the hump, and then you'd feel a little thump thump thump. So it was just too much angle for it. The stock ones, I guess they were worn in enough when we did the lift it, or when we lifted it, that it didn't affect it. But these new axles, they didn't like it at all. So we decided to go with the manual hubs. And then in turn, what happens when you change from the auto, when they have the auto hubs, this axle's turning all the time, regardless whether you're in forward drive or not. And then when you engage the forward drive, this actuator engages it, so the hubs are locked in all the time, basically, so to speak. But they're auto hubs, but they really don't come in and out. They're just locked all the time. So what this will do, this will allow the wheel to run freely when the hubs are not locked in, and so then your axle's not turning on either side. It's just the hub and the tire and everything turns, and hopefully it will slow down some wear as far as on the axle boots, that especially with this extreme angle, it just doesn't do well. This one on this side we've already installed, and you can kind of see how it likes. Of course, there'll be a center cap that will go on here, and you, like right now we've got it freewheel, and turns fine. All right, and with it extended now, the axles are extended way out. You lock it in, and it catches, and it doesn't want to turn. And which that would be engaged in forward drive if you had the transfer case selected. But put it back in 2, and then turn it backwards a little bit. Now it's freed up. But you know, usually with most forward drives, after you take it out of forward drive, you back up a few feet to let the hubs or the four-wheel drive system in general release and freewheel. We added a little bit of axle grease back on the new assembly, hoping, and I read a few articles. Some folks didn't advise that. They say the drier the better, but and then some guys, you know, were saying you need to lube it up before you put it together. The instructions doesn't mention much about it, so I don't know. This might be a mistake, but if it is, we'll pull them back off and clean them up if they get to where they don't work. But it's a spring-loaded assembly, and so that it engages. It's, when you turn it, it's pushing, and then when it lines up right, as it rolls, it locks in. And then what we'll do, we'll let him screw a couple of these down, and we'll show you how that goes on. And you've already seen on the other side how it works in the end, but we'll let him show you how. Just hold that up there, and we'll show, and then we can end the video once we kind of show that. But we hope it makes a difference. It should help in fuel mileage too, some. I don't know how much, but with this deal here with these 33s on here, and it's the stock gear and everything, it gets about, I don't know, 15 maybe on a good day, 12 or 13 more like. So it's not a very, he doesn't do it as a daily driver, but that other one's in the other. And need another washer. Maybe it's on the other side. But it comes, the kit comes with a new axle. I mean, I'm sorry, the new bolts with another smaller bolts that hold these tiny ones here hold the locking assembly on to the spline portion. And this particular Super Winch kit is just a winch hubs and a part number. And this, like I said, this is a 97 rodeo. This is a 400533. And on the end of it, it says hub for Trooper 2, but I think it has a similar automatic hubs that was on those. But these things, he ordered them one day and they came the next. They come from Summit, so it didn't take very long at all to get them. And this was the last year of this style rodeo. The 97 was. In 95 they changed the dash inside, but it still had the older style axle that had the long shaft that run through and the shorter one on this end. And on this one, it's got the CV axles they're exactly the same on the left and right side, and they're not too bad to put in. You got to pull the axle down and all, but there's a few videos on there with that. But I mean, it's pretty in depth. But we just decided we might do this and try to save some longevity on these rubber boots on the. But anyway, so all he's got to do now is we'll put this, the locking mechanism will go. You put the gasket on there. It did come with a gasket for that. And this will go back up. And they say when you install it with a 4x2, with it set in 4x2, and then you'll just line it up here and it'll drop like that, and drops in. then you put your other bolts. There's 6 of those smaller ones in here, and that's all there is to it. But anyway, we just thought we'd shoot this video, and might help some of you guys. Or it's pretty simple. One of the more simple things you do. You could probably do this in your Sunday clothes and not even have to put your grease stuff on. But anyway, just gonna let you know. Hope this helps someone, and stay tuned for some more videos. We generally do the ones with the little trucks, but this just happened to be a rodeo and we thought would be a good idea. And then he's actually installing the snap ring that come off now. And then we'll put the cap back on. All right, thanks.